Well, hello everyone. This is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl coming to you live from my kitchen. I am changing views a little bit today since I had a live sale and my counter's pretty much taken up with orders that are going out. So I am using this little side with my Coke wall. I think it's kind of fun. It's a little different. So we're changing it up tonight for my book reading. So I was adjusting a few things, just getting that light a little bit better over in this darker corner. So how's everybody doing? And I know we got a little fun Christmas surprise because I accidentally clicked on the wrong intro. So we had some fun with my Christmas intro. All right, so let's see who's in the chat tonight. I see lots of folks joining us. Oh, good. My grandparents' caregiver is here. So fantastic. Hello, hello. And Maria is joining us from Empty Nesting. Hello, Maria. Let me pull that camera down a little bit. Bob, Doo-Wop Bob is joining us. How's my rockin' rodent doing? And how's Vlada? I hope Vlada's well. And we got Brittany from Blind by Beauty. Hello, Brittany. Welcome. And Daniel is here from Tacky As Me. Now, Daniel and I are going live on Wednesday, and we are going to be having a fun brooch show and tell. So I'm officially kicking off my show and tell series. We'll be doing that every Wednesday. I've got some fun guests lined up, and I'll be having different guests on, and we are going to be showing our brooches in this episode, and I've got some more fun coming soon. And look at this sparkly wheat brooch that I have on today. That's really fun. And I'm rocking my Fatbird Fine shirt. I got it in the mail finally. So much merch available out there in the community. Dee just launched her merch at Thrill of the Thrift. Fatbird Finds has merch. Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter has the Vintage Rescue Squad shirts, which I'm really looking forward to getting. And I do have my Chapter 2 Vintage shirt. So that's fun. And there's vintage community merch. So if you want to get a little bit of the vintage community, you can get merch. Angela Marksberry's been working on that. And there's some fun merch out there Angela's been designing. I love the vintage community pet shirt. I'm going to have to get that because Louie's featured on the shirt, as well as all of our other vintage community critters. So that's exciting. Let's see who else is joining us. I see Victoria H is here. Hello, Victoria H. Mickey at Thrifting in the Holler is here. Mary R is joining us tonight. And we've got Kat from Calypso Antiques. Oh, it's going to be fun, Kat. I'm excited about it. Let's see. Vlada put hot sauce on a gold medal book and ate some of it. Oh, naughty Vlada the rat. And Nancy is here. Nancy, I hope you are doing better. I've been thinking about you. I know you had a tough day yesterday, but hopefully you can settle in with a warm cup of your favorite tea and enjoy this reading. Let's see. Linda Punky is here. Good evening. Of course. Oh, you've got 50-degree temperatures. Well, that's nice. At least nice for me because I'm in Florida and it's very, very hot here. Hi, Michelle, Emancipation 300. I've been working on your order and that's all going out. So that's all exciting. Well, welcome, guys. Thank you for joining the chat. Now, I kind of think this is fun. I like the view of the Coca-Cola walls, but I also like the idea of reading to you in my favorite chair. And I have this armchair. Well, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but this striped armchair that's in my living room, I moved it all the way over here. And I think it's kind of fun. So we might do more of these story times in my favorite armchair, just sitting and sharing and reading with you guys. Tonight we are continuing our series of House of Flesh. This is a fantastic gold medal book from the 1950s. Now, these gold medal books are notoriously saucy, and they really did change the paperback industry, or the industry in general, the publishing industry. You can read on gold medal. It's fascinating what they did to change the publishing industry, and they really were the first true, I mean, there were paperback books and for the soldiers during the war, but there weren't a lot of paperback books up until gold medal made these paperback books, and it made it more accessible to people that didn't have the ability to spend money on those hardback books. So these were relatively cheap and they were fun because the stories were all original and different. So I'm excited to continue this chapter 5. I see Laura Melendez, our resident strawberry gal, is here. Hello, Laura. Laura was on the sale earlier with Tammy and I at Vintage Uprising, Texas. Tammy and me at a sale today, and we had so much fun doing the strawberry items. And I'm glad you got those, Laura. So that's exciting. Hi, Dana. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're joining us. And Jeannie, Chicago lady, is here. Hello, hello. And if I missed you, I am so sorry. The chat always flies by, and this view is a little bit different because I'm leaning over to the computer. So we'll get a little bit more of a setup worked out, I think, for these readings on Monday. Of course, I always like being by the Coke wall. I think that's just fun. So we are continuing our read of Chapter 5 of House of Flesh today. Now, before I jump into Chapter 5, there are a couple of things happening that I'd like to highlight this evening. Now, Mondays are a very busy night, and as the calendar continues to fill up, it's going to be hard to not overlap everybody. So I'm going to try to end by 8 o'clock. That should be very easy. This is a short chapter, but 8 o'clock is when all the events are happening here on YouTube and the vintage community. So make sure you tune in to Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter. She's having Vintage Rescue Squad tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern PM with Jamie from Mid-Century Wasted and Lorianne Sugar Britches from Sugar Britches Sweet Ass Stuff. That's going to be on tonight at 8 o'clock. And of course, fabulous Michael Todd will be joining. And then don't forget also that Tim at Over the Years is having a sale. So he'll be having a live sale at 8 o'clock with fabulous glass and all kinds of great vintage items. And then George, the Antique Nomad, Uncle Professor George, we all need our education and vintage for the week. And he'll be on at 8 o'clock. So lots of things happening. I'll try to live hop like I always do, try to be in multiple places at one time. It's hard because there's so much I want to see on Mondays. And Tuesdays, I'm looking at the schedule tomorrow. Boy, it's getting busier. There's a lot happening tomorrow. So I'll be around. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Hi, Chastity. My best friend is in the chat. Thanks so much for joining. And anybody else I missed? Oh, Nancy, she says it's been a rough 36 hours. I need story time. Well, good, Nancy. I hope you settle in. I've got my cup of tea and one of my favorite mugs. Misty sent this. It's Charm Step Shoes, and it's a fun old milk glass mug. I love these glass bake mugs. They're just so fantastic. So I'll have a little tea, and then we'll get started here. I hope all of you guys are having a fabulous day. Oh, hi, Leo. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you joining. And again, if I missed you, I am so sorry. Oh, and Dana's asking me about the brooch. Sure, let me show that to you, Dana. So I've got a wheat brooch tonight from England. This is wheat. Well, I think it's wheat. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think. But it's blue and kind of the clear rhinestones. It's prong set. It's not marked, but I'm pretty sure it's from the 50s. And it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm enjoying that. And I've got my Fatbird Fine shirt on. So I gotta get some more merch coming in. I ordered the Vintage Rescue Squad shirt, and I was so excited for it to come. And they accidentally sent me an extra small, which I will never be able to wear an extra small. So I am waiting for my new shirt to come. They were kind enough to fix it, and they are very good. You just message them, and they get right back to you. So I'm excited to have that shirt to wear and a few other merch shirts that are coming in the mail. And guys, guess what? I'll be having merch soon. My Teespring store is officially up. Now I'm working out a few of the kinks. I think Teespring was down yesterday, but I have Jello merch. So that is coming out, Jello and Vintage and Vinyl merch. So there's some fun designs. And Angela Marksberry helped me with the merch, and that's very exciting. Louie is over there trying to get something she shouldn't. Come here, Louie. Do you need me to feature you live on camera? Let's see if I can get Louie. Oh, she might. Come here, Louie. They want to see you before the reading. Let's cheer everybody up. Your cute little face. All right, so here's Louie. Give you a little sneak peek. This is Louie the pug. Of course, I think all of you guys know her, but she is featured on the vintage community merch shirt. So if you want a merch shirt that features all of our community critters, Louie and Otto, my guinea pig, and Louie are featured on there. So Angela did a great job. Can't wait to get that little shirt. And I'm going to set Louie back down so we can jump into the reading. How about that? Now you got to be a good girl. Oh, and my phone's ringing. Of course, that always happens live when you're on camera. I better turn this on D&D so that we don't have any issues for the reading. All right, so are you ready for Chapter 5 of House of Flesh? This is going to get pretty saucy, guys, and I can't wait to see what happens. And one more hello. I see Celeste is joining us, so welcome, Celeste. All right, guys, Chapter 5 of House of Flesh. This is a fantastic book from the 1950s. First, there was a sound that had become depressingly familiar, the barking of dogs. They had been roused by my approaching car. All I saw was the crumbling tar road, worse even than most roads in Norset, and brush-covered fields. Nobody seemed to live this far out. Then I rounded a curve, and there on my left were two buildings. One was a 2-story framed house, loaded with gables and gingerbread. Once it had been white, but not for too many years. Its weathered coat was like flaky ash. Across 100 feet of bare, hard ground on which nothing grew stood a rambling barn, even in worse shape. Its color a kind of pale pink where it had been a vigorous red, and its roof partially open to the wind and rain. In spite of the dogs and the fact that the road ended here, I didn't quite believe this could be the place until I noticed a nail in the trunk of a scrawny roadside tree and a frayed board announcing in surprisingly neat block letters, Kenneth S. Doane, veterinarian. I swung the car in, and at once 3 lunging dogs tried to assault it. They were all big and looked and sounded vicious, and one was already familiar, that German shepherd. There was another shepherd, a trifle smaller, and a chow with a mean face. Those two hadn't been the host outside my bungalow. One moment, folks. Louie has just escaped with something she shouldn't have, so momentarily pause in the video. Louie, what do you have? Oh, no. Oh, no, Louie. Well, Louie liked my advertising tin that she pulled, so I'm going to put that up on the counter, and I'm so sorry for the momentary break, but this is live, and things do happen live, and, well, I wouldn't want Louie to eat something that's not sure what's inside of it. Okay, we will continue now. Let's see. Okay, they were all big and looked and sounded vicious, and one was already familiar, the German shepherd. There was another shepherd, a trifle smaller, and a chow with a mean face. Those two hadn't been among the host outside my bungalow. I guess they must be females if they had strayed away. Later, I learned I was right. Maxine rose up at the car window and yelped back at them in her shrill voice. I stopped the car between the house and the barn and waited in the bedlam, not daring to get out. I honked the horn. Mrs. Doane appeared on the porch and stopped at the herd of sagging, peeling wooden steps and called, "Yes?" "Is Dr. Doane in?" I shouted above the roar. No, she didn't come down from the porch, and while the dogs kept up their clamor, she stood there in a gingham dress with a board square bodice, and her black hair knotted in the back of her head, and her angular face completely static, and her black eyes, without anything in them, fixed on my face in the car window. "Look!" I yelled. "What will all these dogs do to me if I get out of the car?" She didn't tell me, but she did descend on the porch steps. "Down," she said quietly to the dogs. The effect was miraculous. Immediately they subsided. They sensed her for her next command, or perhaps she made a gesture that escaped me. They slunk to the barn and spread themselves out in front of the barn door, abruptly docile, even the sex-hungry shepherd. Maxine tossed one more yelp of defiance at them, and they dropped down to the seat, looking as smug as if they had put them to rout. "They certainly obey you," I observed, making conversation. "I taught them to," Mrs. Doane said in that colorless voice of hers. She remained where she was, some 10 feet from the car, not coming nearer and not asking me what I wanted. I gathered Maxine up in my arms and went out to Mrs. Doane. I said, "Now I know why you smiled the other morning when I told you the dog's name was Max. I found out this morning how wrong I was about her sex. Turns out her name is really Maxine, and she's in heat." "So that's where the king and major have been all day." "That's right," I said. "That and a dozen others." She laid a hand on Maxine's head and stroked her as I held her. The hand was strong-looking and without nail polish. Her throat was very dark, richly smooth, and so was the area of her skin visible at the deep square bodice of the gingham dress. I found my gaze drawn there as if by itself. When I realized I was beginning to stare, I raised my eyes to her black hair. Mrs. Doane seemed to be completely unaware of me, except as a fixture for holding a dog. Saying nothing, she continued to pat Maxine. She didn't make it easy for me to talk to her. "The mails started coming last night," I said, "and I've already had too much. I heard from you that Dr. Doane was out." "Well, he's not here." "Oh, Louie, I can't keep stopping the reading for you, you naughty pug." Goodness gracious, I'm so sorry, folks. I've never had Louie be so mischievous in one day. "The mail started coming last night," I said, "and I've already had too much. I heard that Dr. Doane would board. He's not here." "Well, does he board dogs?" "I can't tell you. He's not here." "Do you expect him soon?" I persisted. "Can I wait?" "If you want to." Her hand never left Maxine. It was her left hand, and there was a simple gold band on the third finger. A shoddy ring, like everything else in the place except the woman, and about her I knew nothing. Maxine was the reason, or the excuse, or whatever else it might have been, for us standing so close together. And somehow I felt that we were even closer as I watched that brown hand more gently over her thick black fur, almost touching my arm and chest as it stroked. There was nothing more than a random conversation two waiting strangers had exchanged. Nothing at all to ease the situation that was beginning to make me shiver. Then she raised her head and said, "He's coming." I heard a car puffing and squeaking. She stepped away, putting the distance between us, not hurrying, but evidently not wanting whoever was arriving to find us close together. The battered station wagon turned in front of the road. It pulled up next to my coupe, and Kenneth Doane climbed out. "Hello," he said to me, then his pale eyes lighted on Maxine and softened. "What have we here?" I explained, "And we'll take your girl, of course," he told Maxine affectionately and reached out for her. She knew a friend when she saw one, and consistently she snuggled in the crook of his brawny arm. "Mostly Spitz," he observed professionally, "a bit of water spaniel, and maybe terrier." "Oh, quite an impressive ancestry," I said. He made no comment. Neither of the Doanes were actingly very garrulous. He bore Maxine off to the wire fence and locked them inside the barn. He opened the gate and whistled at the dogs, and they rose from the barn and raced through the gate. There were 4 of them now. I recognized the newcomer, the red setter that had been still hanging around the bungalow when I had driven off. He too had come home for dinner, and I could see them tearing away at it, especially as Dr. Doane strode on with Maxine. Mr. Doane hadn't stirred. Her hands were clasped. Thought of contemplating the weather or anything to break the silence. Instead, I moved toward the paddock, wanting to see Maxine's territory for the next couple of weeks. It was at the far end of the paddock, a quite small, sad-looking shack, something like a squat outhouse. Gail wouldn't have been happy about it. Then I saw what the dogs were eating. Ravishly, they tore at raw red meat attached to something pretty big. Some of it was already down to the bone, stripped clean. That bone was terribly white under the sinking sun. It's part of a horse, Mrs. Doan said. She had come up beside me. My husband had to destroy a farmer's horse that had hurt itself in some way, and he bought the carcass cheap. Well, yes, of course, I muttered. What else could have been that meat? All the same, I turned away, slightly sickened, for no reason I could understand, and I felt the back of her hand against my arm. It was nothing. She had turned at the same time, and her hand had brushed my arm. It was nothing again, but I didn't move my arm, and she didn't move hers. For a long moment, stretching out, almost undurably, the small contact held, and I felt it send out radiations down to my stomach, gripping it, and up to my throat, constricting it. Then she had flown away from me, and I saw her husband coming back across the paddock with Maxine. Louie. Goodness gracious, you guys. Well, Louie, what are you up to? I am so sorry, but I have never had Louie until I've moved this chair over here. She's now into everything. Louie, you got to be better for my lives. You've got plenty of toys. Louie. Everything that's set up on my little display, she's eating. Okay. I saw her husband coming back across the paddock without Maxine. He made sure the gate was closed behind him. 100 feet away in the shack, I heard Maxine barking in distress. I hate to shut up any animal, he told me. I'll let her have a run every day. Won't all male dogs come here now? No, mine will keep them away. What is your problem? I love you, but you're being nuts. No, mine will keep them away. What's her name? Maxine? He didn't ask for her name. Perhaps he didn't consider a man as important as an animal. He had shown enough interest in Gale and Twin Rock. However, and maybe he told him who he was. Side by side, we walked to the car, both of us the same height, but I felt anemic next to him. Mrs. Doan was ahead of us. Without even saying goodbye, without even a backward glance at me, she went into the house. At my car, I asked him what I owed him. He said $5 a week. That was very reasonable. As I took out my wallet, he shuffled a foot like an embarrassed schoolboy and muttered, could you pay me 3 weeks in advance? Of course, you don't have to, but, well, glad to. But when he had the money, he didn't thank me. Without counting the bills, he stuffed them into his pants pocket and wandered away. Just like that. Not only did he didn't get any more absolute of the minimum conversation from the Doans, he didn't even get goodbyes. When I was back at the Blacktop Road, I stopped the car to draw in my breath and light a cigarette. It was as if I needed a motionless period away from everything to orient myself. My hand shook a little and something jittered in the pit of my stomach. It had never been anything like this before, and with so little reason. I didn't know if she was beautiful or not. I didn't remember, and when I had been with her, I hadn't thought in terms of beauty. I had no such doubts with Gale and the splendid good looks, or with Polly Wellman's sweet prettiness, or with any other woman. Maybe she was even ugly with that angular, static face. And I had never known a woman to be more aloof, except when her hand was against my arm, lightly and yet remaining there, a hand with a wedding ring on it. I drove on. Well, guys, that is it for Chapter 5. Again, I'm sorry for those interruptions. I don't know what's gotten into Louie, but she is having a day over here. I have little advertising displays set up under a few cabinets, and she's never bothered any of the tins. But all of a sudden, during my live, she was going around eating them and like knocking them over and moving them across the floor. So I'm going to have to probably switch back to being on the high top. when I do these readings, because I think this change made her want to rummage around and get things she wasn't supposed to. So of course all this happens live, and it's all very interesting. So we're having some fun. And there's Louie. I mean, she's just having a fit, and she's got all of her toys. You should see the floor. All of her favorite toys are right here, but she's not interested at all. So this was a very saucy chapter. I think something might happen with Mrs. Doan, because I think she kind of likes our main character. So we have to see what happens there. And I don't like that Maxine is being kept at his house, Dr. Doan's house. Something's just not right about the way they treat their animals, even though he's a veterinarian. I mean, a horse carcass? What was up with that? So we have to find out more. Yes, the book is getting to her. That's okay. It's part of having pets. Okay, good. I'm glad that you guys understand. She wants you all to herself. Yep, that's it. Louie's being a little crazy. Is Proud American here? Hello. That dog is even getting hot and bothered by it, right? Louie doesn't want to go stay at Dr. Doan's house. Dogs and kids, yes. Totally unpredictable. That's right. Hi, Gina Marie. Yes, lots of smut in this chapter. Yes, I'll put in Tacky is me in all lowercase. Yes, Tacky is me. Oh, boy. Daniel has a channel, and Daniel and I will be going live on Wednesday. So tune in this Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going live, and I'll be kicking off my show and tell series. And so he'll be the first guest on my series. I have a new guest every week, and this week we are talking brooches. So I can't wait to see some of his brooches. That's going to be excited. Yes, Bob, I agree. Fun in the book. Let's see. Saucy book and feisty Louie. Great Monday entertainment, right? You guys are getting all the entertainment tonight. Louie would not like those dogs. No. Now, Louie, would you like to? Now, see, she just slunk away. She knows she's into everything. Louie, darn it. Yep. Yeah, Louie is getting into everything. That's true. Oh, Louie's just being so funny. Yep, Louie will never go to a place like that. And I will never, ever, ever give her horse carcass. I mean, can you imagine? What a visual image that book painted for us. I think we'll all be thinking about that now for the rest of the evening. Meanwhile, my cat ignored me when I got home from the hospital. Oh, no, Nancy. I am so sorry. Did the doctor ignore you? That's Nancy's cat. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see your brooches. Oh, Daniel, it's going to be lots of fun, and I can't wait to see your brooches. So that is going to just be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that on Wednesday at 9:30 p.m., and I'll be having a special guest next week. I will announce that at some point soon, so stay tuned, but I will give you a hint. My second guest is Southern, so that's my hint. But my first guest is going to be fabulous, Daniel from Tacky is Me, and that is this Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern. And we'll be doing a little brooch show and tell, and then I'll be back with all of my regular vinyl content, as always, on Friday. And next Monday, we'll be back with another book reading, and that will be lots of fun. I've got a fun haul coming out for you guys on Wednesday, an Eco Relics haul, so you want to stay tuned for that to see what I found at the salvage yard. Our local salvage yard got a massive advertising collection in from a group of people. They're a couple that they were antiques dealers for years and years, and their house was set up like a general store. It was amazing. Every room had a different theme, and they got in truckloads of advertising. I mean, this couple's collected pretty much their whole life, and so I went and was able to get a few pieces from this massive collection. And I'll be sharing that on Wednesday, so that's exciting. That will be morning time, my normal 7 a.m. video drop, so look out for that. And I see Angela's here. So yes, Angela is the one that's doing the merch, and she has some vintage community merch. So Angela, you missed all the Louie fun tonight. She has been so mischievous, that naughty little pug. Into everything. But Louie is on the vintage community critter shirt, so that's always exciting. I can't wait to get my shirt in. So guys, that is all I have for you. Checking out the time at 7:02, and I want to make sure that everyone can get settled in, get dinner, get whatever you guys need before all the events happening at 8 o'clock this evening. Lots of things happening this evening. Tonight, don't forget, Tim at Over the Years is having a sale, a live sale with fabulous items at 8 o'clock Eastern. Our Uncle Professor George is having a premiere at 8 o'clock Eastern as well. And then the Vintage Rescue Squad tonight is going to be on at 8 o'clock with Misty from Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter, Michael Todd, the Cult of Vintage, our own Jamie, Mid-Century Wasted, and Sugar Britches, Lorianne Sugar Britches. So that is going to be lots of fun. So I'm looking forward to all of those. And I see Nate Biscuit is joining us. Hello, Nate. I'm so glad you are here. Welcome. And anybody else that I missed? Yes, I'm so glad I could give you the chapter, Proud American. I will be having one next week, and hopefully it'll go a little bit smoother. Won't have all the interruptions. If I put Louie in the kennel, she barks because she wants out. So if I do that, then she barks the whole thing. But if I let her out, there's always a chance that she's going to get into something, because pugs are notorious for eating things. That's just part of their breed. They get into everything, probably like all dogs, but Louie's more prone to eating pretty much everything, as you guys all know. Nancy's in the chat, and I was live. She was live, and I was helping her when Louie ate the head off of a girly candle. So that's something she's eaten. She's also eaten Christmas lights. She's gotten into, oh man, all kinds of things. Louie's just a little mischievous little pug, but I love her to death, and she is so cute. None of the advertising was harmed in the making of this video. I got it luckily before Louie got into it. I don't know why she all of a sudden decided to go after these things that have been sitting on this lower shelf for months, and she's never bothered it until today. But I guess she wants my attention. Hi, Vinny. Thanks so much for joining. I'm glad you are here. Can someone put a link? There are a few, but not finding it. Can someone put a link to the merch? Angela can do that, I think. It's on Linktree. Yes, and I don't have my merch yet. It's coming. Stay tuned. My merch, my Jello merch is coming in the next couple of days. Teespring has been down, so hopefully I can launch that soon. And yes, everybody go subscribe to Daniel. Tacky is me. He has a fabulous YouTube channel. He's really fun, and I can't wait to have him on Wednesday for the kickoff of my show and tell series. So guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I better go check in on Louie and make sure she's okay and that she's not getting into anything else, because Lord knows she's gotten into pretty much everything, as you guys were hearing during the video. Maybe I could do a redo of this chapter next week where it's not so distracting. But this is shaping up to be a great book, lots of fun, and I can't wait to see what happens in Chapter 6 of House of Flash coming next week, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And I will see you guys in my next video, and of course, until then, I hope you guys will follow me on Instagram to get a sneak peek of everything else happening soon, and I will talk to you all later. So for now, stay in, stay safe, and binge YouTube. Bye-bye now.